Good afternoon. This is KJ Live. I'm Chris Johnson. Today's guest on the show was a second team All Pac 12 conference performer this year, first team All Defensive member, led UCLA to a Final Four berth, the first one in I don't know how long. Ladies and gentlemen, welcome to the show. Jaime Jaquez Jr. is in the building. What's up, Jaime?
How you doing? I'm doing good, man. I'm doing good. Happy to be here.
Man, I am happy to have you. What an honor to have you on the show. Listen, man, here on KJ Live, we like to go from the beginning. We like to take it back. We want our audience to understand who the man is that we're talking to, man or woman for that matter that we're
For sure,
talking
for
to.
sure.
So I'd like to start with my question with you is just
hmm
talk about your birth,
hmm
the neighborhood, the city, and just growing up a little bit for me.
So I was born in Irvine, California. I lived there until I was about 8 years old, second grade ish. Moved and then we moved to here to Camarillo, where I currently live and my family lives. And yeah, so just growing up here in Camarillo, just a lot of fun, a lot of days at the park. I have a park right next to my street. I was there yesterday playing basketball. It's just somewhere that I grew up. I learned a lot of, played a bunch of sports there, played baseball. There's a tennis court. We play tennis, soccer, all sorts of things. So growing up here, I mean, it was just a lot of activity, a lot of being outside and, hanging out with my neighbors, my friends. Uh, and it was just a lot of fun.
So you had a pretty active childhood in regards to sports. Talk about mom and dad and their athletic background, if you don't mind.
Yeah, so my mom and dad, they all grew up playing sports. My mom, she played softball, basketball, all those sports. My dad, he played baseball, basketball as well. And they met in college, met on the basketball court at Concordia University, fell in love there, and
On the court, on the
yeah,
actual court,
on
they
the
met.
court, on the actual court, yeah.
Oh, that's sick.
The girl, it was like the guys were just getting done with practice, and then the girls' team came on, and then that's when my dad saw my mom, and then rest was history. Next thing you know, 3 kids later, we're here. So
Yeah, and talk about your siblings.
yeah, so I have a little brother and a little sister. Both play sports in high school. They go to Camarillo High School. That's where I went to high school. That's where my dad went to high school as well. My sister, she's playing basketball today. She's got practice a little later. My brother, he's on the football team there and also on the basketball team. They're all on varsity, so they're doing pretty good for themselves. They're enjoying their high school time, getting to play and represent. So.
How much did a competitive household contribute to the competitor that you ended up becoming?
Oh, it was definitely competitive for sure. And everything we do is competitive. I mean, we still play games here. We play chess a lot. Me and my brother and sister and my dad. We
Nice.
those games get competitive. We
Who
play
wins? Who
hard.
wins the most? Who wins the most? I mean,
I would say it's pretty even between me and my brother. My brother, he's pretty good. He took chess. He was in chess club when he was in elementary school and a little bit of middle school. So he's pretty good at chess. I mean, we play chess at UCLA a lot. So we're on our phone playing chess. We have boards at our apartments and guys just come over. It's not something you would think about, but yeah, we play chess a lot.
but what is it about chess that has you guys so fascinated, man? Tell me, please.
It's just, I mean, it's just a great game. There's just so many. It's just a lot of strategy, a lot of hard thinking. It's really putting your mind to the test. So we just it gets competitive for sure, and it's just a really fun game when you really know how to play and move the pieces and things like that. So it's really interesting.
When
Really.
when did you fall in love with baseball? Because you're a pretty good baseball player, but when did you first fall in love with that sport?
Baseball. I since like when I was a little kid, I played. My mom she told me this story about like when I was one, and I would set up like a tee in the backyard, and she would be out there catching my balls that I would hit off the tee. And so I guess pretty much since the beginning, I've always been active playing baseball. I played throughout middle school. I thought that's what I wanted to play in middle school. I thought I wanted to be a baseball player because we had a really good team together. We were winning a lot of games. I was hitting home runs. I was like, oh yeah, this is something I want to do. But then
who
I started playing basketball, and I was like, you know what? I think basketball is the way I want to go.
who was your favorite player though, baseball at the time? Like who's the guy you looked up to, wanted to be like?
I was an Andre Ethier fan when I was little. Andre Ethier with the Dodgers.
Nice,
So
nice.
we go over to out to games and see him, and yeah, he was one of the guys that I was a fan of for sure.
And so basketball was your second sport. Am I understanding that right?
I don't know if I want to use the word second sport because I played them pretty much, one after the other. So, like, when
Okay.
I was in baseball season, that was my number one. In basketball season, that was my number
Yeah.
one.
Yeah.
So it wasn't, really 1, 2, but until I got to high school, then it started being, I prioritized basketball.
Okay. So you played less baseball in high school, right?
Yeah, but
Talk.
yeah, middle school and stuff like that. Yeah, it was pretty even.
Okay. Okay. When you get to high school, you go all 4 years at Camarillo. Talk about that experience, just the high school experience. You have to be probably what, the best player to ever come out that school.
I mean, yeah, I mean, there's been a lot of good guys that come out to school for sure, but I mean, as far as accomplishments, I think I'm pretty up there. But going into Cameron High School, growing up, it was crazy because like my dad was a coach there. He was a coach at Cameron High School, and so I would always go to the games when I was little. Growing up in middle school, and I would even go to some of their practices like in the summer, and I'd practice with them when I was like in fifth grade playing with like the freshmen and stuff. And then even in middle school, playing with the varsity guys. So he'd take me to practice and, I would see the games and the games would get, super crazy. There'd be a lot of fans there. It was all shaking and stuff. And I was like, wow, like I really want to be, go to Camarillo High School and experience that. So, I mean, growing up, just seeing what, Camarillo basketball was all about, it's just something that I wanted to be a part of and playing there, it was amazing all 4 years. Got to meet, play with my friends that I grew up with. And we won games and it was just a great time.
Yeah, I had the pleasure of witnessing several of
Yeah.
your battles with Camarillo, and
Yeah.
you put on some monster, monumental efforts, man, which made
Hey,
me respect your game a lot. So,
thank you.
you guys were Scorpions or
Scorpions. Yeah. The
Scorpions?
Scorpions.
That's right. I remember you guys had some sweet uniforms
Yeah.
too.
Yeah.
Let's move to so Camarillo, but then you're playing AAU.
Hmm.
Um, talk about the truth, how you got with the truth, and that
Yeah.
experience when you played with the truth.
So I started playing, AU basketball towards my eighth grade year. And then I was playing just a little bit of travel ball, moving from team to team, seeing, because I hadn't really no idea. I just really got into the AAU scene. I didn't really know, what teams were which and, who was good, who had the best interest for me. And then, moving around, we find, Coach Jason Crow with the truth. And I go out to a practice out in Calabasas and, I practiced there. I had a really good day. It was like workouts, trying out for the team. And from there, he said, "You got a spot on this team." And then I just pretty much rolled out with them for the majority of my AU season, my AU career. So,
What was the high point of your career with the truth? What do you think? What performance, or team performance, or individual?
mm, hmm, that's a good question. I have to look back at that for sure.
EYBL, something at the
Yeah,
EYBL maybe.
EYBL. I remember we were like, it wasn't Peach Jam, but it was a tournament. It was like a tournament style. And yeah, I remember that. I think it was in Indiana. We had the whole team together. It was a crazy game. We ended up winning like one of the championships. I think one of those EYBL sessions. I think that definitely was probably a high point for us. Just a bunch of guys from SoCal, going out playing against the nation's best and coming out with a W, winning that tournament. That was definitely pretty special for sure.
Yeah, it was always impressive to see you and others, guys like Josh Christopher, Jaden Shackelford,
Mm,
Carl Lewis,
yeah,
other guys. But when you compete against these names, these big time East Coast or the South ball players, man, y'all would more than hold your own. That's why I
yeah,
kind
for
of
sure.
had the feeling like you guys were going to be fine on the next level in college. Like I could just trust you because
Hmm.
I seen you against the Dogs. So,
Yeah, definitely.
um, a word about Carl Lewis,
Yeah.
your former teammate.
Mhm. Man, I mean, Carl, rest in peace. God bless him. Miss that man. But I mean, just being around Carl, having him being able to have the pleasure of being his teammate for all those years. I mean, that man, he's just a crazy guy, man. Makes you laugh. Always put a smile on your face for sure. And on the basketball court, he was just an absolute beast. I mean, you want to talk about, his potential. His potential was like DeMarcus Cousins, like.
Mm.
And he could handle, he could shoot, he could do everything. He could move. He was huge. He was just a force to be reckoned with. And I mean, I was just so happy, that I got to be able to even just, share the floor with him and, just see him grow from when I met him to where, he was. I was just really, really blessed to be a part of, his life for sure.
As we all were, Jaime. Rest, God bless his soul. Um, Moving on. So you're rocking with the truth. You move on. You have a great AAU career to
Mhm.
parallel against your high school career. The recruiting process had picked up. Talk about who the top 5 schools were, and ultimately why you decided to go with UCLA.
So the recruiting process, it started, pretty slow. And then, as I started, playing better throughout AU, it started picking up. I had offers, from, USC was an early one, Stanford, Utah, Georgetown, Memphis, St. John. So a lot of places all over, but, I kind of wanted to stay West Coast a little bit, a little closer to home.
Okay.
So I kind of cut it down to, Stanford, USC, and, UCLA. Those were kind of like my top 3 schools
Yeah.
that I was going to decide from. And then, I took visits to all those schools, checked them out. And I mean, just UCLA, it just stood out the most. The facility that they were building was amazing. I mean, the coaches, I wanted to play for those coaches too. Um, just the location itself, the history behind it. I mean, you grow up on the West Coast. UCLA is a school, that you want to be at, and that's a school that I wanted to be at. So, I mean, it was pretty much a done deal, for me. Once I got the offer.
Uh, Now, was it that summer that you committed to UCLA? Did you play for represent Mexico in the Pan Am Games?
Yes, yeah.
Yeah,
When I so
talk
when I
about.
played, yeah, when I played for Mexico, that was going into my freshman year of college. So yeah, I was already in college when I had played in Mexico with the Pan Am Games.
Okay.
Yeah.
How was that experience? How was that experience?
That experience was amazing. Like I say it every time, it was just overall amazing experience, and it really opened my eyes to see how global basketball has become as a sport. Because everyone focuses on the NBA and how great the players are here. I mean, rightfully deserved. But when you go out there and you go to Peru and you're playing against guys from the Dominican or Puerto Rico, or even guys from Mexico. I mean, it's just so there's just so much great basketball out there, and you just to see that was just really amazing and really opened my eyes.
Yeah, a lot of dudes got game. You'd be
Yeah, a lot.
surprised.
Yeah, there's dudes that can play everywhere, like
Everywhere. It's
everywhere.
unbelievable.
Yeah, everywhere.
I played in the Middle East in a country called
Yeah,
Qatar.
yeah,
Qatar, and I'm in the middle of the Gulf and this and that, but there are guys Iraqi dudes giving me 40. And
yeah.
I'm just
Oh,
like,
yeah.
whoa.
Whoa, yeah, crazy,
Uh,
crazy.
nah, but UCLA, your freshman year, you had a really good freshman year. Started in Maui, you
Yeah.
kind of hit the stride, had a couple of good performances.
Mhm.
The game winner against ASU was a high point for us as well. You, we hit a stride going to the Pac-10 tournament, Pac-12 tournament, and then I was actually driving on my way out there,
Yeah.
and then we all got the news that it was canceled because of COVID. Talk about where you were and the feelings that you felt.
Yeah, I remember that day. It was pretty vivid. I still remember it. I was with Jay Kyman, my roommate. We're up late at night because we're hearing all this news about, there's European soccer leagues that are canceling games. And we just heard the news that the Ivy League is canceling games. And that's like the night before we got the news. So we went to bed thinking like, oh my gosh, are they really going to cancel our game? We're watching the news about all the COVID situations that are happening. That there's like a case in Vegas, and
Hmm.
so it was pretty crazy. And then we wake up the next morning. Wait, let me backtrack a little bit. So this is all after we had watched film for the game. We were about to play, I think it was Cal that we
Okay.
were about to play.
Yeah.
So right after that, we're hearing all this news and we're like, oh my gosh, are we really even going to get to play? And then the next morning, we look on our phone, more and more leagues are canceling their season. We see the Big Ten, they cancel their season. We're like, oh my gosh,
Yeah.
we're coming next. And the next thing you know, Pac 12 cancels tournament, and then NCAA tournament canceled, season's over. And it was just like, oh my gosh, it was definitely heartbreaking for sure.
How it so then COVID hits, you go home, right?
Yeah, we go straight. Yeah, so I mean, we ate breakfast in the morning, and then we just got on the plane and went back.
And did you go straight to your parents or did you go back to campus?
We went back to campus because they didn't want us going back with our parents because of the whole COVID situation. And yeah, so like I had friends, I had friends that were coming. My parents, they were driving out, so they're halfway there, and then they had to get told that we're turning around. So I mean, it just wasn't the greatest situation.
And how did you stay in shape during the time? Were there team a lot of team activities like Zoom workouts, or you guys had to do a lot of stuff on your own? I'm just curious about the discipline that it took you guys for having, because we're used to structure. And so
Yeah,
once the
for sure.
structure is kind of not like that and you're supposed to be somewhere, how did you deal with that, Jaime?
So we finished out the season. We had to talk, right outside the bus when we were getting off, and saying we're going to be in touch. And then it was just a period of time of just not knowing what was going to happen next. So I mean, we're there. We say we're in the hotel. We're in our dorm room. We don't know if we need to be there. And then next thing you know, like campus is closed, so we all got to move out of our dorms, and go back to our houses or our homes. So yeah, it was just a period of just not knowing what's happening. So I mean, I myself, I know, was trying to keep in shape. Wes, our trainer, our weight room guy, he sent us workouts on our phone for us to do. So that's pretty much what I was doing, just all the workouts that he was sending me. I had all my high school buddies who were back home because they were playing JUCO and things like that. They were playing in their colleges, and we just came back, and it was kind of like it was high school all over again. We're just working out him in my friend's garage, lifting weights, running, try to do whatever we can to stay in shape because all the gyms were closed too. So it was
Yeah.
just a lot of not knowing what's going to happen.
But you had to go. I love it that you went back to the basics, man. Sometimes the brilliance is in the simplicity of everything.
Yeah,
And y'all
exactly.
lifting in the garage, y'all running, hitting the miles. That's great, man. And
Yeah,
it paid off. It paid off
for
when it
sure,
really
for
mattered.
sure.
You shot better from the three and from the two this year. What did you work on to improve your shot?
I would just say repetition for sure. Just getting more and more shots up than I had been before. Shooting every day after practice, before practice, working on my form, um, and just trying to stay locked in with my mechanics. Keep my fingertips on the ball. Just a lot of mechanics, I think, and repetition for sure is what got my shot to where it is now, I should say.
Yeah, because I think next year you could be a 50, 40, 85 guy,
Mhm.
from the line. No problem. You're basically 40 this year from the three. I think a lot of people slept on that. They need to look at the stats.
Yeah,
Yeah, I'm looking like, wait a
for
minute, hold
sure.
on. I'll be shooting
Yeah,
that thing. Hold on.
I didn't even realize. So I'm like, I'm really shooting 40%. Wow,
I know.
kind
I looked
of
up.
crazy.
That is crazy. Great performances during the season. 27 versus Michigan State. I looked to the Michigan State game
Uh,
as the game that set the tone for us because Michigan State got the reputation for being physical, toughest program in America. Tom Izzo, they usually come out physical, but you set the tone from the start. Um,
mhm.
was that something that Coach Cronin, kind of told you guys the game plan is to be physical from the start? Match the physicality, or how did that work?
Yeah, definitely physicality for sure was a big part in the game plan, and we kind of knew what they were all about just from playing them the year before in the Maui tournament, and they got us then. So we went into that game, trying to get a little get back at them for beating us in Maui, and playing Ohio State earlier, and just kind of like what the Big Ten's all about. They're very physical. They get after it, big rebounding team. So yeah, physicality for sure was a big part of the game plan, and trying to put our force on them rather than them attack them rather than them attack us.
No, that was smart. The Alabama game, you
Hmm.
guys came out big time performance against the SEC champion.
Hmm.
What you guys were huddled up a lot. Like, what goes on in those huddles, man? When you guys are huddled up, you don't have to tell me everything, but just give me
Uh,
an idea of what's being said in the huddle during the game, especially a tournament game like against Alabama.
yeah, I mean, in the huddles, we huddle after every free throw or during every free throw or every dead ball. It's just talking to each other, just making sure everyone you got the right idea of what we're supposed to do, how we're supposed to guard, and a lot of just sticking together, a lot of encouragement. Some guy, we get an N1 or foul, we get together like, all right, we can't have this happen the next time. Just a lot. It just helps us stick together as a team, and keep ourselves focused.
Yeah. We beat Michigan, big time stop at the end of that ball game,
Mm-hmm.
and then got Gonzaga,
Mm-hmm.
pretty much even. Just talk about the Gonzaga game, like the day after it all sunk in, and how you lost. Were you proud of your effort? Were you pissed off at yourself? I just kind of want to know your emotions like that morning after.
Yeah, so the morning after, I mean, I'll take it back even to like when it happened, just because I mean, when it happened, that's probably when it hurt the most, more than anything. I think. Yeah, when I saw it going, I was like, "There's no way that just happened right now," but it did, and it hurt. It definitely stung. But we got into the locker room. We talked it over, and then the next morning, I think I felt better the next morning, just being able to sleep on it a little bit and understand. Because I mean, when I look at that game, I don't see any regrets of anything, about missed shots or anything like that. I mean, we tied the game with like 30 seconds left to play, and they come down and hit that shot. I mean, at that point, you kind of just got to understand. The ball was at their hands, and at the last second, it wasn't in ours. So it's kind of out of your control. He shoots that shot, goes in, but we'll live, and we'll move on and get better.
Yeah, yeah. I mean, you guys, you know, played a heck of a game, made us proud, man. Just to keep it real,
Thanks.
totally 100, man. It's super proud, dude. No man, like for me, I'm the sorest loser that ever existed.
Yeah.
But when they when that shot went in, a calm came over me. I was proud of y'all, and I just flipped my script. Like I'm just gonna be positive about
Yeah,
this,
for sure.
and that's just what time it is. You guys are rubbing off on me. UCLA,
Mhm.
you guys get to the Final Four. You got the whole city behind you. The
Mhm.
whole state is behind you. They turn in City Hall blue and gold
Yeah, crazy.
for you guys, right? How does it feel to represent the four letters across the chest,
Mhm.
being from Camarillo,
Mhm.
and getting all the way to the Final Four, an improbable Final Four?
Mhm. Yeah, I mean, you don't really understand it, or kind of feel it when it's happening, just because you're so locked into the games. But coming back from Indiana and kind of just taking a step back and realizing like what we just did, it was definitely something to be proud of for sure. And to see all those, especially like professional sports teams, the Rams, the Lakers, all those, all the support from Los Angeles was just amazing. Uh, and it definitely fueled us. We were like, we got to make the city proud. We got everyone backing us. We can't let them down. Um, and yeah, I mean, that's just something you don't get to experience, that often. So just to be able to experience that, definitely something special, and definitely something I'm going to cherish.
When you walk into Pauley Pavilion
Mhm.
and you see all the banners hanging, do you feel extra pressure, or do you not even notice what's going on? You kind of locked in what you got to do that day.
Um, I don't want to say pressure, because this is something that I've been dreaming about my entire life. So like every day before every game, before I put my jersey on, I just take a look at the four letters and be like, wow, I'm really putting on a UCLA jersey, getting to play. And I just go out there and try to give it my best effort, no matter what, no matter what the result is. Because my best effort, that's all you can really give at the end of the day. And just try to do whatever I can to make the alumni proud, the city proud, and just everyone who's watching proud.
How does the Are you on social media doing the tournament at all, or you kind of just you black it out and you just kind of locked in? You don't want to read nothing.
I say a little bit of both. A little bit of both. I see what some people say. I ignore other things, but I mean, after games and your phone, like crazy phone blowing up all the time, it's kind of hard not to see it at that point.
Yeah, nah, it's crazy the things that are said. I just always wondered what guys in today's day and age, just how they handle social media and having a game. That's just
Yeah,
always been
for sure.
something. What now? I got a couple more questions for you, Jaime.
Mhm.
Um, as far as the student athlete platform, do you think it's a responsibility or a choice for high profile student athletes to
Mhm.
use their platform to shed light on things that are going on, like social injustice and inequalities in this country?
I for sure think it's definitely a choice, because the person advocating for those types of things has to make a choice within themselves, because you're just put on a very high spotlight, and you got a lot of eyes looking at you, and that's a lot of more pressure that you're putting on yourself, just to go along with the athletes. But like I said, it's a choice, and it's your choice. So whether you want to express your feelings about certain issues, I fully support that for sure. And if some people just don't have the knowledge or the information they need to be able to speak on those issues correctly, and what's the word that everyone uses? Politically correct.
Yeah.
Some people don't always have those information, but I'm definitely for people speaking out about what they believe in. I mean, this is America. You're free to speak about whatever you choose. So, I mean, I'm definitely for people speaking out about against social injustice issues, and I'm full support of that for sure.
Absolutely. There's a lot going on, and the more that the young people get involved, the better that we're going to be off as a country as a whole.
For sure.
Um,
For sure.
two more questions. What are your goals for UCLA basketball, men's basketball next season?
I mean, to go all the way and win a national championship, just to be real, we saw how close we got, and we're going to use that loss to fuel our fire, and get after it next season.
That's great news. I love to hear it. It'll be the twelfth in the
Yeah,
history
definitely
of
looking
our
forward to it.
program. Last question, Jaime. When it's 40, 50 years from now, when you look back on your life, what is going to be your defining legacy?
Man, that is definitely a powerful question right there. I just, looking back 40, 50 years from now, I definitely want people to remember me for more than just basketball itself. Um, you know, remember what I did. We remember the Final Four and things like that, but just remember me as someone who went out there, gave it everything he got, and then just left it all out there with no regrets. Nice guy. Someone who's friendly, someone that people could talk to about anything. Um, and just someone who's happy and enjoying playing at UCLA, playing basketball, and someone who love what he does.
Yes, sir. Just keep the main thing, and you're
Yeah,
gonna be fine.
for sure,
Jaime,
for sure.
Jaime, thank you so much for
Thank you,
joining KJ Live today, man. It's been a real pleasure.
thank you
Uh,
very much for having me. Appreciate it.